Women are notorious passive-aggressive beings. And when it comes to directly talking to someone or showing them something that makes them vulnerable, it is often a challenge. You see, women rarely, if ever, want to reveal how they feel about someone until the other person has shown that she will not be rejected. This means that as a man, you will need to improve your intuition and learn how to spot some of the critical signs that women give off when they like you. In this video, we use the basic principles of psychology to discern some of the common signs that women use to show men that they are interested. Believe me, you will be shocked and regret many situations where you didn't even realize that she likes you by the end of this video. Number 1. She shows curiosity. Nowadays, it takes a lot for women to show their interest and to care what's going on in the lives of some men. Since they have free access to millions of men through social media, her curiosity is often filled by just scrolling through Instagram. However, women take a much deeper interest in the lives of men they desire, and this means that they'll start to pry and ask you questions. What she is doing is actually trying to figure out what you're up to. But the underlying driving factor is to see if you might have any other potential love interests. You will notice that she constantly talks to you, and this will often be a couple of questions. Since women don't need to take an interest in the lives of men nowadays, you can take it to the bank when you notice this from her. If you entertain this, you will find that you will also establish a closer connection with her. So, whenever a woman shows interest in your life, you can be sure that she likes you, but she is unwilling to communicate this with you. By entertaining this, she will eventually drop more and more hints about her actual interest. Number 2. She shows it through social media. If you think that her curiosity is not enough, you will notice how she behaves on social media when it comes to you. In fact, the whole world has become infatuated with scrolling, and when someone likes you, you can be sure that your profile will be at the top of their search history. Now, thanks to the algorithm, it means that whenever you post something, it is very likely that she will see this, and what happens next often tells you whether or not she's actually interested in you. Since women are selfish, they generally don't like many things on social media, unless it is a close friend who has posted something. The main reason for this is that whenever she likes something from someone, men need to think that she likes him. For this reason, women have stopped liking things from random guys on social media. This means that if you see her constantly liking and interacting with some of your posts, there is definitely some interest, and she will want to talk to you. Now, once off might not mean much, but if you post occasionally, you should be able to recognize a pattern of whether or not she continually likes your post. The more she does interact and like them, the bigger the chances of some form of infatuation actually being established between the two of you. You can even post on social media to experiment and see if this is true for yourself. Number 3. She asks you to do things with her. If you are like many of us who are constantly working and trying to turn our dreams into a reality, you often neglect some women in your life. In fact, this is not done purposely, but rather as a byproduct of you being on your mission to success. Since she will initially aim to play a couple games with you in the hopes of being asked out, she will eventually realize that this guy simply doesn't know that she likes him. This is often when women tend to be more direct, and she might actually be the one who makes the first move and invites you to go out with her. This can be as small as having coffee to attending any specific event. But the fact of the matter is that there are clearly some intentions that are going on, and she is hoping that you catch on to this. In most cases, she'll ask you to go out alone and try to get as much one-on-one time to get to know you. By this point, she's already very infatuated with you. You should agree to these dates if you also feel interested in her, as this will also allow her to see that you do have an interest in her as well. It is this that often creates organic attraction between a man and a woman and can lead to a good relationship. It's all about maximizing the amount of time that two people interact with one another. But the real kicker is when her friends are present. Number 4. Inviting you to meet her friends. You see, the main trend of relationships often follows the same basic line. The guy meets the girl and then he invites her out where she gets to know all of his friends and learns what he's all about. Since women tend to be far more secretive than men, they will rarely, if ever, invite you out, especially during the initial dating phase. Since women are all afraid of their friends judging them, you need to realize that if she's willing to bring you into a group with her friends, she does truly like you. The goal of such an outing is to see how well you and her friends get along, and if they can find out if there's anything wrong with you that she might be missing. One of the biggest compliments that any man can receive is being brought into a group where the girl invites him and gets along with her friends. If there are any close family members involved, it does make it even more clear. You see, a woman won't allow a guy to come close to her family unless she truly trusts him, and this is one of the more intricate things men fail to realize. Number 5. She hangs on your every word. The world of social media, and specifically YouTube, has taught us the attention span of people has diminished quite severely over the last few decades. Now, people want to have bite-sized chunks of information, instead of sifting through extended periods where information is often exchanged between two people. This means that even in conversation, women tend to shift their focus away from men when the conversation becomes stale. Since men realize this, they often try too hard to keep the conversation interesting, and this will make them seem desperate for her attention. However, if you can talk to her like a normal human being and she keeps on showing interest, you can be almost guaranteed that there is some form of attraction from her side. Women are very picky when it comes to who they invest their time and resources into, and this is often a clear sign that shows she truly admires you. The idea is not to tailor the conversation to what you think she needs to hear. You should rather just focus on being yourself and talking to her as if she's just another ordinary woman that you want to get to know. However, don't just talk about yourself and allow her to do most of the talking. You don't want the mystery to die down, as this could be one of the main reasons for her being interested in you in the first place. Number 6. She spends money on you. We have slightly touched on the word resources, but very few people actually understand just how important this is. You see, whenever you have money invested in something or someone, your interest level rises significantly. The age-old tradition of men being the providers and always paying for things has made this easier for women, as they don't need to worry about having anything invested, and if things fail, they lose absolutely nothing. However, modern society has put women in positions where they often earn more than men, and even if they don't, they'll still always try to contribute something. She might just buy you a small gift or even offer to pay for dinner. Some women could pitch up at your apartment with something as well. The fact of the matter is that if she is investing some of her resources or money into you, you can be pretty sure that she's very interested in you as well. The more she invests in you, the better that level will become, and this will also make her more interested. You see, no one wants to invest in something that doesn't yield any real returns in the future. If she's buying you things or doing things that actually put her at some sort of a loss, you can be very certain that she's interested and simply not willing to directly acknowledge this feeling. Also, if she offers to pay for things, you don't need to stop her. You don't want to be the one investing the most resources, and this should only happen once you're sure that the investment will be worth it. Number 7. She becomes more physical. Another thing that most women avoid is becoming too physical with men. Since men often struggle to discern someone being friendly from someone being interested in them, they often take the wrong cues and believe a woman is interested in them when she's actually just being kind and friendly. This means that whenever a woman does take a lot of interest in you, she is bound to become more physical. And this could be in various forms. She might want to be close to you or even just continuously try to touch things like your arms or your hands. This idea is to establish that comfort when touch does occur. Whenever she touches you more frequently, it also indicates that she's very comfortable with you, and the best way to go about this is to allow her to feel as comfortable as you possibly can make her feel. By reciprocating, you can also gauge her interest levels and see how far she lets you go. Now, don't make the mistake that many inexperienced men make. This means that you should not go overboard when she's touching you and rather try to focus on just touching in the same way as she is doing to you. You need to understand that during this feeling out process, things go very slowly. If things progress too fast, there is often a bad reason for this, and she might have far more experience with these things than you have realized. Number 8. She always tries to be close to you. Continuing with the trend of physical intimacy, you will realize that a woman who is interested in you will often try to be as close to you as much as possible. This means that when you're in any setting, she will likely want to sit either next to you or across from you. The idea is to be in as proximity to you as she possibly can be. She will likely want to be next to you in most conversations, and one of the most fascinating things might even occur. This phenomenon is something that is called mirroring. With mirroring, she will mimic your actions, and this actually happens inadvertently. The cool thing about mirroring is that people don't even realize they do it. However, psychology has proven that we have a deep admiration for the people we like and even desire. This means that everyone is more likely to mimic the movements and actions of those they find interesting and desirable. Number 9. Indirect compliments. Once again, women hate being direct, and since they fear the rejection that might follow, they will often try to dip a couple toes into the water. This is often done through indirect compliments where she might say something, but the meaning can be open for interpretation. These indirect compliments are not the only thing that she will do, and this might even change over to backhanded compliments where she compliments you, but it is often followed or preceded by some kind of insult. This is just to give her plausible deniability in case you catch on to what she's doing. The great thing about these interactions is that you can also respond with such compliments, but try to keep it as pure as possible. People can often misinterpret jokes, especially insulting jokes, and take them personally. You'll eventually learn her limits as you get to know her, but be ready for a couple weird compliments that might not even make sense in some cases. Number 10. Flirting. Perhaps the most direct, yet still somewhat indirect method of showing that she likes you is through flirting. This can be on social media, texting, or even in person. But noticing this in person is often the best way to know that it's real. Many men completely suck when it comes to flirting, and when a woman flirts with them, they'll often just forget about it or laugh it off. This makes her think that you're not interested, or just unwilling to engage in such flirtatious conversations, and she might stop. As a man, you need to be able to understand and even discern when someone is flirting. Once you learn this skill, you can reciprocate, and you will notice just how much more fun some of your interactions become. Number 11. She seems a little nervous. The one thing that is true across the board is that we as humans are often intimidated by those we desire. Psychology has done some extensive research on this and found that it often stems from fear. More specifically, it is the fear of being rejected by someone we truly admire and respect. You see, whenever a woman does find you interesting and is actually starting to like you, she is bound to be one of two things. She might be more nervous than usual, which could seem as if she's hiding something, or she might even be a little too confident. The fact of the matter is that both of these types of behaviors will be to protect herself and to see how much your level of interest is in comparison to what she is. Women always want to be at the top of the food chain, or at least this is what they are aiming for initially. Once you have shown that you have the same levels of interest, she will tend to be more like she is when she isn't stressed or nervous. So what should you do? If she is nervous, you can actually joke about it and try to lighten the mood. The idea is to make her feel as comfortable as possible. One of the best ways to actually deal with nervous people is to add a couple of self-deprecating jokes into the mix. These jokes will help her feel more comfortable and allow her to see that you're just human. Being nervous is a basic human response, and this is often cute. You can even take on the role of being a little nervous, as long as you can back this up with some self-confidence. This sounds a little complicated due to being on opposite ends of the spectrum, but in the eyes of a woman, it does come across as being somewhat attractive. Number 12. Willingness to be intimate. One of the more personal things that can happen is if she's willing to be intimate with you. Younger women who haven't had many bad experiences in relationships might not truly understand the enormity of this, which is why this mostly applies to women who've had a couple of relationships and heartbreaks. If you realize that she's willing to be intimate, you can be damn sure that she is very interested. Women understand the risks of putting out, and this is often the reason why they play hard to get. All of the preceding behavior boils down to tests. And it is these tests that often indicate whether a woman is interested or not. However, the moment the tests stop and things become a little more intricate, you can be pretty sure that she's actually very interested in you. Gone are the days when people were more direct, and this is now transformed into some more passive-aggressive behavior. Women are generally the leaders in this kind of behavior, and by noticing these signs or a combination thereof, you can be sure that she does have some level of interest for you. Make sure that you check out How to Get Women Interested in You Faster Than Normal Dating next. This will give you the opportunity to make every encounter successful.